The Austin caption. When do you guys think it happened?
It's hard for him at least, to pinpoint an exact time during the game. It had started to tighten up the day before, even though he did very light work intentionally. It's just one of those things, and we're obviously going to be cautious with it.
The timetable suggests that it's not something you guys are overly concerned with. Is that a good classification? It's pretty minor, sounds like.
Yeah, it's mild strain, grade 1, and he'll be out a week.
There seems to be a rise in these calf strains, and obviously you want to be cautious with them. Has the recent history, does that impact like how you treat it or how you go about his process as he deals with the injury?
I would
Even if it is
venture
mild.
I would venture to say every player is a little bit different, but players now are becoming more cautious, to use that word again, more cautious when they get those diagnoses with the calf. But everything looks clean. It's not in the deep part. I can't remember the name of the calf, but it's not in the deep part. It should be a week.
Anecdotally, I would have to look back at the numbers. It feels like you guys have not been very good when he's been out in general. Like you guys you lose like some offensive engine and stuff like that. How are you going to mitigate that? Obviously you look at Doncic projects, but how cognizant of that are you?
Very. He kind of makes a lot of things work for us. So we'll for the next week play different lineups.
We talked a little bit yesterday about Jared. I'm curious about a dude, and like the track record of young players, rookies in particular, like having impact on high level teams. Like there aren't that many. But when he possesses this like a skill set, certainly athletically, that like you guys could use, like, do you take like a 4-month? Is there like, obviously you're working on his overall development, but is there like a 3 or 4 month developmental plan in some ways where it's like, if we can get this guy to this point, like we can really use him? And I guess how do you map that?
Biggest thing, like I said to you guys at the beginning of the season, it's his body.
Yeah,
that's the biggest part. We have to get his body right, and he's in a good place right now, but it took some time to get there, and now we've got to get him the on-court reps. But that his development plan had to be predicated to begin with on getting him to the place where he could go out on the court and run up and down, and he couldn't do that, all summer. So we had to be very cautious with that.
I've been watching him play lately when I was home, not going to games. He looked like he showed some defense awareness. Is that what you guys are also saying? That he can be a good defender for you?
I think on ball he's been really, he's been good in his limited amount of time, and we see him as a good on ball defender and a disruptive defender.
Is that something that was
I don't think there's any rookie I can't remember in the history of the NBA that's been good off
ball.
It's a good question.
Why?
I
It's pattern recognition. Yeah.
How has his body responded to the minutes, not just with you guys, but even in South Bay? When you're able to get
Like I said, he's in a good spot right now. So, we still have to, whether we're fully healthy or whether he's in the rotation because we're shorthanded or whether he's in the rotation because we're healthy and he's in the rotation, he's under a minutes restriction, so we just got to continue to monitor that.
You haven't used the word banshee much this year.
Because we haven't been banshees.
I was gonna say, like, how does that come up with them? And are you on like a banshee hunt a little bit on this roster? I guess.
We've taken charges. That's been good. That's been a positive. We're trying to reestablish, because we felt like we had it for a little bit. In the last 10 games, we've just completely lost our fundamentals. And it takes reps. The last 2 days in practice have been great. I think the guys have been great with how they've responded to our meeting yesterday, and doesn't mean we're going to come out tomorrow and play amazing defense, but we gotta. It's like, this is my job. I'm not going to just say, we're not going to be a good defensive team. No, we're going to scrap and claw and do everything we can to turn us into a good defensive team.
Hey, JJ, you talked about LeBron as a screener, and this will change obviously with Austin out. But just how much does him as a screener kind of fit into those utility plays you talked about early on before the season? And how much does that open up the offense when you can use him in that 77 action or empty side screen?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that we kind of view him as a screener. So there's ways to get him a mismatch. The first part is getting him a mismatch, getting him a smaller defender. So that we can do that at the elbow. We can do that in different ways in the post. That forces the defense to have to make a decision. Do they put 2 on the ball? Do they allow him to get his 2 feet in the paint where he can overpower a smaller guy? And then what we've seen an uptick in, and we saw it in flashes last year, is him getting roller behind as a screener. And that's where I think he's the most dangerous. And he had a number of we call them follows. He had a number of plays where it was second action followed the pass, got roller behind. Now we're playing 4-on-3. So really encouraging that. And then, there are certain ATOs that we will run where we feel like, and we do this with Luka too, where we feel like their primary defender does not want to come off their body. So using them as a screener to actually get a guy a shot is another way we use them as a screener.
Just really quick on the defensive end, you guys give up the 5th most corner threes in the league. OKC is 4th as the number 1 defense. How much of that is kind of the game plan to give up shots to the shooters you want to versus kind of getting beat and put in rotation?
Well, we're giving up corner threes to everybody. Harrison Barnes the other night is the best corner 3-point shooter in the NBA the last 2 seasons, and we gave up corner threes to him. So it's not by design.
You guys closed. Last one. And recognizing the time of the score was what it was, you guys did close with that smaller lineup. It's a lineup you guys leaned on a lot last season, just replaced Dorian with Marcus. Did you see anything positive from that lineup that you liked? And if so, I guess what can you take away from it going forward? Do you anticipate being the lineup used more?
Not necessarily. I mean, DA pulled himself from the game, so we kind of had to do it by choice for a stretch. We got back in the game, so we went with it to close the game. It was not a planned thing. And when you're getting your butt kicked, you're willing to try anything.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thanks.
This is a rare stretch where I think you guys will have 4 practices and only 1 game in a week time span. What does this group need from this time? Just so you guys can, I think you lost 3 or 5, just so you guys can get back to the winning ways you guys were on.
First of all, this time for us should help us resting wise. We had 2 excruciating long East Coast trips early in the season for us. So having these times at home, getting back in our own bed, that should help some. But also just being able to get in the gym with one another and, get on the court and see the things that we need to work on, see the things that we've been doing well, and, keep going on that. But it's definitely good for us to be here.
JJ referenced to us yesterday kind of a pretty direct defensive meeting and film that you guys had. How's the response been to that? I don't know if there's anything you can share with us kind of about.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, nobody likes to go watch film after you get your ass kicked. It's tough because the film never lies. And, it exposed us a lot, which we already knew. We were just winning a lot of games, so it was mitigated that way. But it was straight to it. We have to be able to guard. The scouting report against us is we're not guard people. And if we want to be great in this league and do what we're trying to do, you have to be able to guard. Especially in the West, these guys are no joke, and they're coming. And especially you got the Lakers across your jersey, they're definitely coming with everything they have. So you can't be expecting any surprises. And that's what it was. It wasn't no sugarcoating anything. It was, this is what we got to do. We've been asked. Let's fix it.
To lose 3 out of 5 and then get the news that Austin's going to miss at least a week, it's kind of rains and pours scenario. Is there any way that I can kind of just have everybody pucker down a little bit and focus? Be like, if we don't give everything we have, it will only continue.
For sure. We lose one of our better players and, one of our offensive threats for sure on that end. So, it's going to call for everybody to pick up their game on both ends of the court to make up what we're losing with them. So it's definitely tough, but my motto, we know, control what we can control. And this is a perfect example of it. Had a good couple games, started, 5 games, we lose 3 out of 5, guy goes down. What are you going to do? We see the problem, we know the problem. We're not focused on the problem, let's focus on the solution, and that's what we're trying to do.
Can you're a guy who plays obviously with physicality. You do it as a rookie, you'll do it in some rec league game probably when you're 60. But Can players who don't necessarily have that as a part of their DNA, can they be reminded into it? Can they be pushed into it?
For sure.
And how much of that is your job?
For sure. A lot of it's my job, trying to set the tone, with the guys, give them, some encouragement and a little, confidence on that end. We're playing against some of, the best talent in the world, if not the best, on a night in and night out basis. So it's tough, and confidence can get shook on that end when you're going up against guys who score the ball at the rate that the guys score here, and it's nonstop. So for the guys who aren't used to it, my job is to make sure that they have that confidence knowing that we have their back, they have our back, and no matter what goes wrong, we're always going to be there to pick each other up.
Go for it.
In the interest of leadership in your role, I think against Philly, Adu kind of got stuck in a tough spot against Embiid, and he got pulled from the game. He had a long conversation with you on the bench. Like, what was that conversation like working with a rookie? In that moment?
It was great. I mean, you don't see it often, but Adu's been really great. He's taken the initiative, to come find me, and a lot of the times, and pick my brain. But on that specific day in Philly, I was just letting them know, hey, it's all right. You're a rookie. You understand. They're seeing you for the first time. They don't know how you play. They have to get used to it. But you can't stop. You got to keep going. So now, by the time next year, later down the season, they go, we know this is how you play. We got to let some things go.
Yeah, Adu is still pretty early in his career, but just what do you think of him and how he projects as someone who can stick in the league?
Oh, he's great. I think if anybody who's really, watched us and paid close attention to Adu, you can tell that, he's going to be a great addition for us. He has the size, the ability, and the athleticism to go out there and be one of the greatest defenders in this game that we have. You just got to want to. But he definitely has it, and each and every day he comes out here, he proves that and shows us that he wants to get better, and he wants to be a part of that on that end and make an impact.
Dylan Brooks had a lot to say when the Suns beat the Lakers 5 games ago, and certainly plays with an edge. Just what's your opinion of his game and how he's maybe influenced the Suns in their early season success?
I mean, I love it. I mean, this is a competitive sport. We're all competitive, and you believe in yourself to the fullest. You got here. All the hard work that you did in your life to get you here was for a reason. So I love it. But for us, and like I said, for him, I think he has helped that team tremendously. He's brought something that they've been lacking in that department. But it's our job to go out there and respond. They beat us 5 games ago. We got a chance to get our redemption back, and we understand they're coming in. They're going to throw another punch. We just got to be ready to throw ours back.
Thanks, Marcus.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Marcus.